All right. All right. Hey, Vicky. Good morning.
Hey Ann, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good.
Excellent. Your knee feel okay after yesterday?
It was
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Good. 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 Want to make sure we're not doing anything crazy. Let's see. I think I can do a different thing with my screen here. Oh yes. Remove the pin and then spotlight. There we go. Oops. All right. Well, we'll get started. I'll go ahead and mute you. But as I always say, unmute whenever you need to. Um, Sound okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down on the sound. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. Oh, yes, Eric kept complaining because the door's open for the space on both sides. Yeah. Yeah. No rush. Come on in. How are you? Good. Thank you. It's my retro it's cool. Thingy. Well, because if I open up the door, it looks like more. Usually we're all squished in here. Yep. Oh, thank you for the strap someone brought me. All right. Carolyn, hey, welcome. All right. Hi, Beth. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start, not too surprisingly, lying down. Thank you for bringing me a strap, whoever brought me a strap. Thank you. We'll be starting on our back because that can be a helpful place for many of us with back sensitivity to start to evaluate the way you're feeling today, understand any asymmetries that may be lurking, and to give yourself a chance to release tension that weirdly enough actually builds up when we're sleeping for some of us. And so we get moving gently with a grounded spine. But please do feel free to place a bolster underneath your body lengthwise and have that as your support or a set of four blocks, as Milton is ably demonstrating. Any variations on a lying down position that work for you are welcome. And I'd like to start with the breath. So, a classic entree into the yoga practice, indeed, really the matrix within which we embed the entire yoga practice, is the breath. So, I'd like to encourage you today to go really to use the breath as much as you can. And whenever you realize you're not thinking about breathing, oh, God, oh, yeah, breathe. Yeah. So that every time the breath comes up, you take a nice, soft, full inhalation and you let it go when you're ready. So we'll start with the low lung area, or really diaphragmatic breathing. And for some, it can help to bend your knees here. Sometimes people like to bring the bolster under the knees or knock your knees together and widen out your feet, or even take soles of the feet together and knees wide in what we call supine bound angle or Supta Baddha Konasana. If you do take supine bound angle, it can be nice to prop up your outer legs so that the stretch in the inner groin doesn't feel more exigent than is really appropriate for the first movement or position of the day. Hands on the belly if you like, or just your brain on your belly as you breathe in. The deepest belly breath really is a diaphragmatic breath where you inhale, feel the belly rise. Exhale, gently squeeze the navel to the spine, even contract your abdominal muscles as you engage also your buttock muscles and squeeze out that breath from the low abdomen. Then, when the body is ready for the inhalation, and only when, you flare the low lung up and around 360 degrees around the entire circumference of your waist and low lung area. Exhaling for some, if you flatten out your low back during the exhalation, a posterior tilt, you get even more bang for your buck in terms of muscle action. Inhaling, fill up. Maybe you feel the belly rise, maybe you don't. That's okay. You can add in a little bit of focus to your low ribs now. So you breathe in belly, and then the low ribs flare out away from the center line of the body. Exhalation. There's a feeling of collection of creating density and contraction as you squeeze out the breath. Inhaling, let go. Feel the buttocks relax, the pelvic floor relax, the low back even relaxes, expanding widely. Then contracting everything, tucking your tailbone, squeezing your buttock muscles, even lifting your pelvic floor. By that, I mean retracting the urogenital sphincter, the anal sphincter, and doing a Kegel-like maneuver all at the same time. Three more like this, adding in the upper chest as well. So we breathe into the low lung, the rib expand, and then even the middle and upper rib cage expands with the breath so that you've filled your lungs as much as you can. You feel like a giant blimp, and then you exhale and squeeze out all the air, pushing out the air as you contract. Visualize those muscle fibers folding into each other, contracting and ratcheting tighter, tighter, tighter. Let's do three more of these full, complete inhalations. Notice any temptation you have to grip your jaw, to grind your teeth, to tighten your facial muscles. Breathing through nose, mouth, or both. Ujjayi breath, if you practice that, that ocean sounding breath is always welcome. Wherever you are, let's do one more, adding in one last breath. And after your last breath, you've finished, then gently bring your arms down to the sides of the body. And if you're on any height, gently slither off and slowly find your way to a flat position on your back so that we can move into some bridge pose maneuvers. Have your block right nearby. And keep a blanket handy if you know that for your head, neck, and shoulders, having a little height under the head and neck really supports you and creates much more ease than you would otherwise have. We'll meet with the feet flat and the knees bent. Hands can rock, can go onto the pelvis or not. And we simply tip and tuck your pelvis forward and back, rocking and rolling. So this is a little bit of a circumscribed version of cat-cow in which we're simply tilting your pelvis anteriorly, feeling your low back gently rise up. Your tailbone rotates and pushes down. Then you roll backwards with your pelvis until your low back flattens and presses into the mat, and you may feel that your tailbone is now no longer on the mat, but gently curling up like the front of a beautiful Persian slipper, if you know what I mean. So we go back and forth. You know those wonderful slippers that the front curls up? That's what I always think of the tailbone like that. So squeezing your buttock muscles when you go into the flat back part, pause and feel your low back muscles. For me, when I do that, there is a little bit of a discomfort there, a feeling of, huh, those muscles were contracted, they're feeling tight, and this is changing that. And it's not necessarily lovely, but it also actually feels helpful. But then I go back and contract, rotating the opposite way, and then I repeat. The squeeze of the buttock muscles happens on the flat back part, tailbone curling up. The relaxation of the buttocks, indeed the abdominals and the front of the abdomen as a whole, happens on the arching part. Let's go back and forth a couple more times. And I realize that for some of you, this is a somewhat trivial maneuver. If it feels trivial, can you slow it down? And can you really get into the granular nature of it, the felt sensations of every little tiny single degree of change in the angle of your pelvis? And then add the breath. So the inhalation comes when your low back rises. The exhalation comes when you squeeze the buttock muscles, press the pubic bone towards your navel. Really, your pubic bone is curling up towards your nose and your navel. Then you inhale again, gentle arch of the spine, though quite grounded through the pelvis. And exhale, flatten out your back, curl up. One more time. Inhale, grounded cat cow essentially. Exhale, curl. Now hold the curl. As you're here, what you're doing is preparing for bridge pose. Reach your arms down to the feet. For me, if I walk my heels just to where I can barely touch my heels with my fingers, that's just a little bit too close for my feet to be for bridge. I like to move my feet about an inch further to the foot of my mat. For others, it feels good to even step on your own fingers, though you don't have to keep your fingers under your heels. So take a moment to position your feet and visualize what it's going to be like. You can always switch it up to lift your hips up. Now, let your fingers go out from under your heels if they were there, and tuck your shoulder blades in and under, in towards your spine and under your ribs. Now, notice if you have a gap between your rib cage and the mat. As I tuck my shoulder blades towards the spine, my chest bubbles up, and I have space under there, a sort of cavern. So I'll lift my hips up, curl the tailbone up to the sky, pull my lumbar spine to flat, and put my hips down. Anybody notice a flattening that can happen there? Okay, so what we're trying to do is burp out the air that was underneath you. Yeah. So, well, remember burping bottles? Never mind. So we squeeze the buttocks, flatten the back, and tuck the tailbone and slowly lift up into your bridge pose. If you discover that that blanket under your head now feels like something awful, push it out from underneath you. You don't necessarily need it. And if you discover that it feels pretty fine and you like it, let it stay as you now lower and lift slowly from a as flat a back as you can muster, from shoulders to ribs to low back, scooping the tailbone, guiding you up in that same posterior tilt that we were evincing prior when we flattened our low back and squeezed the buttocks. Tuck the tailbone, lift the pubic bone, peel your lower torso off of the mat until you reach the point where your body says that's enough, and then slowly stick your body back down like you are putting a sticker on a water bottle and you want it to be aligned perfectly. You don't just go flat. You don't just slap it on. You roll it on. Yeah. So roll the spine onto the mat, feeling each vertebral process as it grounds itself. Inhale when you're down, adding a little arch of the back if you wish, though it's optional. Exhaling as you lift up. Now, next time you lift, you can take a couple rounds here and find your way to the lifted position. Hold. In the hold, take stock of where there's muscle action and try to relax where you think you can. For example, your jaw, your neck, even your eyes and facial muscles. Then can you add a little more verve into your feet, spreading your toes, pressing your heels, squeezing your buttock muscles, even notice your hamstrings. And now make a slow circle with your hips, whereby you allow your hips to shift left, then hover and sweep right, but not touch the mat, then lift up and to the right, up towards the middle and down and around in a slow, some might say torturous, hula hoop maneuver. Now, if you feel better bending your elbows, for some of us, that gives you some leverage with which to use the arms a little differently. So, with bent elbows, you can push down from elbow to shoulder and continue to walk your shoulder blades towards each other underneath your body. For some of us, that feels good on the shoulders. For others, it'll feel better to keep the shoulders quiet and soft and not to bend the elbows, even let the arms drape on the floor. Pause wherever you are in your circular bridge and go the opposite way. If you're not shifting your weight very much from side to side, see if that's a possibility for you so that you feel the left heel pressing and then the right heel, and the shift of weight changes the level of muscle action in one leg and then the other. Switch your direction one last time, a kind of coda, just for one or two, then pause in the center. Float your arms up to the sky, zombie style, and then extend your arms in a Y shape. And if you're quite close to the wall, don't worry, you just reach your arms up the wall behind you in a Y shape as you lower down in an even more exaggeratedly one vertebra at a time way. Once your low back and sacrum and pelvis are all the way down, reach for the thigh bones and bring the knees to your armpits as you rock from side to side. Breathing into the curling of your knees into your chest. And now circle your ankles here. You can still the rocking, or if you're kind of a crazy person like me, you can rock and circle at the same time. That can be fun. I don't get out much, or you just stay stable right where you are and circle your ankles broadly. Notice if you're shrugging your shoulders and see if you prefer your knees right close or wide apart. For some, it's way easier on the back and pelvis to bring the knees more towards the armpits. Circle your ankles the opposite way. And this is seemingly trivial, but not actually. Working the feet is as important as working the hands. And then slowly, gently plant your feet, roll to the side, and come on up. And I'd like to do a thing that uses a block and it looks like this. The block goes between your knee and your elbow. But the bad news is that we'll be lying back down again, and that this is a core strengthener. And so the other block can go under your head and a sort of an austere sort of pillow. Now, the key movement here is the pressing of your elbow into your thigh or knee to activate the muscles, the abdominal muscles that crisscross your front of your spine. So it looks like this: head on a block or blankets. If you're not a fan of this block situation, please take a blanket or even your bolster. The elbow of your right arm, it's really your lower tricep, the lower upper arm bone of your right arm. Bending your left knee, you pincer the block between your right arm and your left thigh. And I've got my right hand resting on my neck, and it's just kind of la di da. Pushing the arm into the leg, push the leg into the arm through the block. And the low back is flat, and the right foot is flat. The left foot is flexed. Now, as you're here, anybody feel abdominal work here happening? Okay, great. Now you can stay right here. You could switch to using your forearm. For some of us, the elbow doesn't reach well, the block, but if I use instead the fleshy part of my forearm, now I can push the block more easily. It doesn't bother my shoulder as much, and I'm getting just as much pressure. Okay, so feel free to switch it up. And it is the right arm on the left leg. That's so it's opposite. Now, if that's easy for you, you can bring your right knee into your right armpit and then slowly kick your right leg up to the ceiling, bending and straightening your right leg in this sort of pneumatic knee bend and straighten situation. The higher my foot goes, the flatter my back. The more I bring my foot closer to the floor, levering it out over free space, I try to keep my pelvis absolutely still. So the rocking and rolling we did with our pelvis earlier, we're trying to avoid that completely here. So you may need to and want to sample different angles at which to extend your leg so that your pelvis does not move at all. Now, exhaling on the exertion or just any random time can be nice to just blow off a little steam because, again, the breath tends to get forgotten. So, exhaling on the greater exertion, probably there's some exertion happening throughout, but can you exhale every once in a while? Keeping your low back flat is the priority. The height of the leg is not important. If you want more intensity, press your right leg out and hover it above the floor and let it stay there. But keep your lumbar spine flattening the whole time. Even more important than doing X number of these is resting when you need to. So take a break, bring your knees into your chest, or let your feet come to the mat, relax. If you feel like, yeah, I got about 10 more in me, keep going. That's fine. Most importantly, we calibrate the practice throughout the class to your body. So when in doubt, don't get fatigued beyond measure. This is not what we're after. Okay, if you've got a couple more, great. If you're done, you're done. That's great. And we'll switch sides. The block goes onto your right thigh, your left foot goes flat. Don't worry, we have more of these. So if you were like, yeah, I could have done more, it gets worse. The right foot flexes, the left foot is flat on the mat. Now it's my left elbow, and I check to see if I can use the lower upper arm bone, the bony point of my elbow, or if I need to put my forearm on the block. That might be the better geometry for my body. My left hand can just rest easily against the side of my head or against the left side of my neck, and this might be it. I don't need to do anything else but push, and I can feel my right leg. Anybody feel if you put your thumb right where your thigh meets your hip, as you push the block with your leg, can you feel a muscle bump up under your thumb there? If you dig in a little bit, sometimes you can feel it better. That's your hip flexor, among other things. A couple hip flexors are there. So pushing, and now option to kick your left leg up towards knee to your armpit, and then extend and bend your left leg. Breathing. Once again, for more intensity, maintaining that absolutely still flat back lumbar spine and pelvis immobilized. Lowering, you can hover that left leg at an inch or two and stay there, breathing. And you can also get rid of the block and interlace your right hand behind your head and let your head hang like a little cantaloupe in a little net bag hanging from your head. Hands, it doesn't change things much, but it can be nice for some. Breathing, trying to bring your belly button down into your spine, trying to press your low back flat. The movement can be nice just because it's otherwise really boring. And do flex your right foot. The foot that's up, yeah, that's it, Laura, exactly. So the foot that's up is flexed. There you go. Opposite arm to leg. Press the elbow to the knee. Yes. Very good. When in doubt, press a little more. When in doubt, take a break. Those are two opposite things, aren't they? So that's always the conundrum. Do I do more or do I do less? Do I need to take a break or could I do one more? If you can do one more without injuring yourself and really pushing past the point of measure, great. But otherwise, when in doubt, stop, take a break. All right. And then let's do stop and take a break. Very good. Now, next one. Same austere pillow situation, blanket or block under head. Now we work the inner and outer hip. The idea is this: block in your right hand presses into the inner left knee. So very similar starting position in terms of right foot flat, left knee bent, left foot flexed. But now my left arm is just casually draped on the floor. I'm pushing the block into my inner left leg, knee, a little bit my calf, a little bit my thigh. And as I move my left knee from left to right, like a cupboard door swinging open and swinging closed, my right elbow hugs my rib cage. So, Lisa, for example, be a little mindful of keeping your elbow in and down so you're not going to bug that shoulder. Yeah? There you go. So, as you push with your hand against your leg, you push with your leg against your hand. Now, if this is too easy for you, Kick your right leg to hover it. Once again, the low back stays flat. Now, finally, if you want to get complicated about it, it's kind of Rube Goldbergish. You flex your right foot, and as your left leg goes left bent, your right leg slowly scissors out parallel to the mat, but hovering. So, like, wait, what? What are we doing? It's a kind of a scissoring movement. Both legs go wide, then both legs cross the midline. Yeah. Could always put your right foot flat again or extend it onto the floor. You don't need to lift your right leg up. But the thing I like about this one is that that's awesome. Is that your inner thigh, inner groin will be working as you scissor your right leg across the midline. That engages the inner thigh, inner groin. Yes. If that's too easy for you, make it slower. Lower your right foot, but don't touch the mat. Notice that thing called breathing? Yes, exactly, Laura Brewer. Very well. Well done. Yep. Nicely done. Yes, that's it, Yvonne. Yeah. Good, Michael. All right. Take a break. Bring your knees into your chest. Relax your head onto your block or switch it out for a blanket. And we'll make a circle on the ceiling with your knees before we do that once more on the other side. So for my body, I often like to hold on to the legs as I circle the knees. And that allows my hip joints to soften. So the muscles around the hip socket can let go a little bit because my hands are doing the work. But for others, it feels better. Let's switch the direction to let go of your legs and therefore have a wider ranging circle. What we're doing here is just releasing the sort of asymmetric tensions we create when we do these sort of things. We want to back off and rebalance. Okay, sorry for bad news. One more side. Block under your head, optional, or it could be a blanket, it could be nothing. Now block to the inner right thigh. Palm on the block or hand, pull the right knee in as close as it can come comfortably so it's as easy as it possible for you to reach your block and slowly start to scissor. Now, this can be really a small movement. It doesn't need to be large. The more important factor is the effort employed. So as you push with your right knee, so your leg slowly comes across the midline, the left hand, elbow bent and hugging into your ribs, the left hand is pushing in the opposite direction, trying not to let the leg go there. And then you switch that up so the hand pushes the leg. And same thing, the leg is trying not to let the hand push it out. Again, you can stretch your left leg long and hover it in one place on the mat, hovered, or scissor. Left toes and knee, if you're in the leg extension mode, whether lifted, scissoring, or not, left toes and knee are facing the ceiling. And as your legs both cross the midline, the focus is on the squeeze of the inner thigh, inner groin. It's very much of a strengthener for the inner and outer hip, as well as a strengthener for your rectus abdominis and other abdominal muscles. That's it, Terry. Yeah. Take your time. Remember that thing called breathing. And when you feel even, don't let me rush you, but your body knows when you're even, and then bring your knees into your chest and make a circle on the ceiling with your knees once more. Okay. Okay, now taking that blanket out from under my head, preparing for a bridge pose, one more version, and then we'll move on. Looks like this. I place my right ankle on top of my left thigh like I'm going about to do figure four, except I'm not going to lift my left leg up and do figure four. I'm going to prepare for a bridge pose. Now, you could always put your right foot back down and do a classic bridge. But if you're finding this is a reasonable thing to give a whirl, you place your right ankle on top of your left thigh and reach down for the outer edges of your sticky mat and grip it with your fingers if you can. If you have any hand pain, of course, you simply flatten your palms and press from shoulder down to fingertips without gripping. Yeah. If gripping works, it's kind of a nice way to activate your upper arms and shoulders. And what I do is I grip the mat and pull it from right to left as if I could stretch my sticky mat and make it wider. Then I lean to the right and tuck my left shoulder blade in towards my spine and underneath my ribs. Then I lean to the left and tuck my right shoulder blade in towards the midline and under my ribs. Then I go back onto my back and I feel, oh, is my low back lifted? I lift and curl my tailbone up to flatten my back before I go into bridge pose. Then press with your elbows, press with your shoulders, grip with your hands or palms, press, and we slowly lift up into a one-legged bridge. Breathing up, exhaling down. Inhaling slowly up, squeezing the left buttock and lowering down. Again, you can always lower your right foot, especially if you're feeling any kind of cramping in your left hamstring. It can be helpful to put a block between the thighs and do this with 2 feet flat on the sticky mat. If you're okay doing two more of these, great. We'll go two more times. We'll hold on the last one. So holding in your bridge pose, breathe. And now optionally bring your right knee into your nose. And if you're like, oh, no, 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 then you put your right ankle back down on your thigh. That's bad enough. But right knee to nose if you wish, and kick your right leg high. Good morning, hamstring. Your right leg might not straighten all the way. Don't force it. And then point and flex your right foot. And notice if your neck and shoulders feel grippy and tight. Can you bring the work into your left leg, your arms, even walk your shoulder blades underneath you again, pull your mat, but relax your jaw, your neck, and your facial muscles as you point and flex your right foot with carefree abandon. Then slowly bend your right knee, place your right foot flat, bridge pose, float your arms up. Big breath, like for a big long reach. Even reach your arms so far up that your shoulder blades leave the mat. Really not pleasant. I'm balancing on my spinal column. Yikes, that doesn't feel very good. And then I'll slowly relax everything and lower down, including my arms down to the side of the body. Toe heel your feet to the edges of your mat. Rock up onto your heels and windshield wiper. This is an easy, soft, relaxed windshield wiper where you're just letting your knees, your bones fold over from side to side like the masts of sailboats, rocking side to side. I never liked it when the boat would keel over like that. Ugh. My father would be like, "It's okay, Annie." I'd be like, I don't like it. And also, I always had to be in the cabin, which was Barf City. So, anyway, side to side. All right, back we go to bridge pose. Now, prepping again the same way we did before. We grip for the mat. We tuck the shoulder blades in and under. Plant your feet evenly, and then ankle of your left foot on top of the right thigh. Now, you can always stay here and say, you know what? I'm going to do figure forward. Stay here. I'm not going to lift my hips up. Totally fine. If you do that, just make sure you also do that again on the other side. Now, preparing for bridge with just your right foot flat. Flatten out your low back, tuck your chin, relax your neck, and squeeze your right glute to lift up into your figure four bridge. Sometimes people will feel a little bit of a stretchy sensation in your left hip when you lift and lower in this single legged bridge pose. And once again, you have options if you're feeling any cramping to squeeze a block and bring both feet flat and take a break, stretch out your legs. Best thing when you have a cramp in your hamstring is to straighten your knee. We'll hold in our next figure four. And once you're up there, pull your sticky mat from right to left and walk your shoulder blades even further underneath you. You might even feel there a little more space there underneath that space between your shoulder blades. Breathing, bless you, in your figure four bridge. And optionally, you can, bless you, bring your knee to your chest and kick your left leg long. Ugh, don't worry. You can groan too. It's okay. Don't worry if your left knee doesn't straighten. You can always put your left ankle back down on your right thigh, lower down when you need to. Otherwise, holding an Ekapada Setu Bandhasana. See if you can re-engage the muscles in your arms and shoulders, but not your neck, your jaw, your face as you point and flex your left foot. Breathing into it. One more lift. Then slowly bend your knees and lower all the way down. Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. Now, this is where I grab my blocks and press them, turn them out on their diagonal edges. So I'm actually tilting my block so that the flat surface of the block rests against the outer leg, and my knees and thigh bones are resting upon a block. Any way that you like to support your legs is fine. You don't need to tilt them. You don't even need blocks. If for your body, soles of the feet together, knees wide, Baddha Konasana feels just fine without any support. Yeah. So take a moment here to go back to that breath. Belly, ribs, collarbone inhalation. Feel your whole trunk expand. Let the whole thing go. Exhale, try to flatten out your low back, draw your navel in and up, and retract your pelvic floor. Inhale, fill up. Relax your pelvic floor, buttocks, expand everything. And contract, congeal, squeeze. One more time. Big breath in that goes all the way up to the crown of your head and all the way down to the soles of your feet. I know that's crazy sounding. Exhale, draw the breath out every little ounce. Then slowly reach for your thigh bones with your hands and gently bring your knees together. We'll come over onto the front body now and open up a blanket to give you support. If you find that the mat is really hard, two blankets is really fine. Here's me taking this one long rectangular blanket and putting it in the middle of my mat. Because you know me, I'm kind of averse to having fringes towards my head. God forbid. If you've ever done Iyengar yoga, you'll probably be a bit fringe averse as well. It's okay. We have a fringe aversion support group going on here. So the idea is that your blanket or blankets can go right on the middle of your mat. Sometimes people like to place another blanket under their forehead instead of putting their hands there or instead of putting your forehead on the mat. So please feel free to take a folded blanket and use that under your forehead when you're lying flat. You know, think Bjorn Borg and his sweatband, right? Now, lastly, under the feet, it can be kind of uncomfortable for the tops of the feet to be down. In fact, I am going to bang my feet like this. So if for you banging the feet on the floor feels uncomfortable, that's when another blanket can come in handy. I roll one up into a sort of soft little berm, and I use that as a foot support like that. Okay, so I'd like to start here, and you don't have to do this foot kicking thing, but just a little bit and bring some blood into the feet in a nice way. So we start doing a little yoga tantrum. Now the knees are grounded. The buttocks have to engage. It's actually some work. Anybody feel that? It's actually a little bit of work to pound the floor with your feet. Kick, 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 kick. And then relax, bend your knees and windshield wiper your legs. Relax, windshield wiper. Okay. Now, classic maneuver. I had you lie down and I did not ask you to bring your strap with you. So this is where we go. How long have you been doing this, Anne? And why are you still making that mistake? So take a moment to grab your strap and meet me back on your front body, please. Good question. No loop needed. Thank goodness, right? No loop needed. The idea is that your loop goes from right to left across the back of your buttocks and thighs. And I grab it, wrap the strap around my hands, and I have it behind me. Now, if you find that that's not workable for your shoulder, totally fine for you just to reach your arms as if you had a strap loop. I am wrapping the strap around the fleshy part of both of my palms and pulling my hands a little wider than shoulders distance so that I have something to pull. It's sort of as if I had a small towel that I grabbed the ends of, and I'm using that to create some leverage with which to engage the shoulders, the muscles between my shoulder blades, to squeeze my shoulder blades together and broaden the chest. So that's the reason for the strap. Now, relaxing the arms, relaxing the head, take a deep breath in, feel the breath move into the lungs, and exhale. Now, inhaling and exhaling is just as important on the front body as it is on the back. So best you can, keep your breath going. Tuck the chin, rest your forehead on the mat. And we'll start with your legs and feet hips distance apart and the tops of your thighs pressing into the blanket. Now squeeze your buttock muscles and press your pubic bone down. And then pull your strap from left to right as you slightly bend your elbows up to the ceiling. If your arms feel better straight, it's totally fine for you to keep your elbows straight. For many of us, if we bend the elbows a little bit, creates a little more space in the shoulder joint in a kind of an interesting way. Now, press your legs long by pushing your feet down into the surface below and try to straighten your knees. They might even lift off the mat. Then see, as you press your pubic bone down and squeeze your belly button up, if you can lift your head any amount. Wow, the head is heavy. Did you know your head is like the gallon of milk? Crazy. It's really that. And then put your head back down. Pubic bone pressing. Knees are straight. Squeeze the navel up. And then float your heavy head up and put it back down. Keeping the lower body working, pulling lightly but assiduously from left to right. Feel your upper arm bones hugging your ribs. Lift your heavy head. Now you can either keep doing that, just lifting and lowering your head. It's like weightlifting for your neck, which is good actually, with your chin neutral and your eyes gazing down or closed. We're not lifting the chin or squeezing the shoulder blades together and then using this as a way to create a postural benefit for you. Then option to lift your feet. So hover your head if you wish, or keep your head grounded, and now lift and lower your feet. For some, your head will stay floating and you're now lifting and lowering your feet. For others, your head will stay grounded and you lift and lower your feet. Finally, you can lift arms, head, feet, legs, everything, any amount, up into what we call Shalabhasana or locust pose, or any variation thereof. If you can press the pubic bone down more, that's great. That's the pure focus of this pose. Pubic bone pressing, shoulder blade squeezing. Those are the two main focal points here. Collarbone broadening, chin neutral, not lifted. If your shoulders like it, you can reach your arms up and back. For some, though, reaching your arms simply back towards your feet, not up, feels better on the shoulder joint. Maybe turn your chin from side to side. Remember that thing called breathing? Pubic bone pressing. And then one more lift. And down you come. Oh, stack your palms one on top of the other. Bend your knees, flex your feet. And now make a nice slow sensory circle with your shins. So your shins circle all the way around. Can you flex your feet as you do this? Sometimes when I ask to flex the feet in this position, it's hard to figure out what that means. But what I mean is to pull your toes to your knees, sort of like you're wearing a ski boot. Yeah, that's it. Relaxing your hip joints, your back, your neck. And then switch the circle direction. Good. That's it, Terry. Yeah, that's exactly. Go the other way. That's it, Michael. Even flexing the feet more. Yeah, there you go. Very good. That's it, lower Brewer. All right, nice. Julia, good. All right, now come back down. Ooh, here we go. We can repeat that, or we can take no strap at all and bring your elbows out to the side in a bent elbow position, cactus, Suharo cactus position. And with your legs and feet hips distance apart, optionally, you can bend your knees. Okay, so if when you bend your knees, you end up feeling kind of crampish, straighten them. You work with straight legs, not a problem. Bent knees, bent elbows, flexed feet. We start by pressing your pubic bone down, pulling your low ribs together, and try to pull your belly button up, like you're going into the treehouse and you pull up the ladder, pull up your belly button. Then from here, with the pubic bone pressing, lighten up on your thighs, try to lift your legs any amount. Then lower them down. Don't worry if they don't feel like they fully leave the blanket. That's okay. Pubic bone press, lift your legs and lower. Pubic bone press. In principle, though not in practice for many of us, right? We try to lift the thighs. It may feel like what's really lifting is the knees, and that's about it. Totally fine. That's still correct. We're trying to kick the ceiling with the soles of our feet, donkey kick the ceiling with the soles of the feet as we press the pubic bone down and try to lift the thighs any amount. And don't worry if they don't feel like they lift up. So your question was exactly to point. Sherry. Shelly, sorry. Yeah, that's it. And then lower your legs and relax. Kick the mat. Kick, 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 kick. Okay, one more time, bend those knees. You can again choose for straight legs here because that's totally fine. Pubic bone presses, float your head any amount. With your head floating up, my elbows are bent, my arms are still right on the sticky mat. I haven't lifted them. In fact, they feel kind of heavy and relaxed in a weird way. Pubic bone presses, I lift my chest, then any amount, lift my elbows up and then slowly lower them to hover or rest, whichever one feels better on your shoulders. Lift, shoulder blades squeeze and lower. So the pubic bone is pressing. The feet are flexing, and my head and chest are gently elevating any amount. They don't need to elevate a lot, but they can elevate as much as you like as you lift and lower your wings. Finally, if you wish, you can kick your feet up now. So now your wings are moving, your legs are lifting and staying up, legs stay up, and the arms move. So you're like a bird with short wings. Yes. Any variation there? Yes, beautiful. When your body says, I'm done, let your body rest completely. Rock your buttocks from side to side, arms resting, legs long. Swish your buttocks and roll from side to side. This is where I talk about those hot dogs at 7-Eleven that are rolling the greasy, warm hot dogs. Only our legs can't roll all the way around. Thank God. That would be awkward. If your head is turned to one side, switch it to the other, even just for a moment, and maybe with support from your hands, so that your neck can pause in its position opposite to its natural tendency. Deep breath into your belly. Now, either push up to hands and knees or extend one arm forward and roll onto your side body. Bring your knees into your chest, and with a slow transition, we'll meet up in hands and knees position. Hands and knees position for cat cow. So that's to allow us to work out any kind of tension in the back, which we may have just created. So feet can still be on your little rolled up blanket. If you need to be off of your wrists because your wrists are not so comfortable, perhaps you place a block one or two under your elbows. I just grabbed one because it was convenient, but you can put one under each elbow. Now, curate your cat cow for your back. For some, the cat movement feels great, but cow can be a little problematic, and vice versa. So, what's the truth for you today, and is it different than yesterday? Now, I like to add in a backwards tilt of my pelvis when I'm doing cat some days, because that pulling back of the hips, even just about 4 or 5 inches, can target the stretch into my low back that I like. And then I'll come forward into cow, and then backwards, upwards into cat. For some, it feels better and more appropriate to keep the crown of your head lengthening forward, to not tip and tuck your chin. That's totally fine, especially if you're working with a little bit of bone density issues in your upper spine. It can be much more healthy for you to keep your head lengthening straight forward rather than curling your upper chest in that anterior direction. Couple cats and cows. Now, widen out your knees. And if you're a person who puts weight on their forearms instead of their hands, you might put a block flat under your left forearm. My knees are wide to give me a more space in my hips. And the idea is this: I put my right hand on my low back, bend my left elbow if I'm on my hand, or if I'm on my forearm, it's already bent. Then I turn my chest to the right without arching my back. So I'm flattening my low back and turning to the right. Turn your head and look down to the left and soften your left shoulder away from your ear and squeeze your buttock muscles to try to turn your shoulders a little more to the right as you either look right or look down. If you can let your right arm hang comfortably, let it hang for a moment and slowly open up that right arm to the ceiling. For some, the arm will just reach out to the wall. For others, it might go up to the wall ceiling joint, or maybe even upwards all the way. But you always have the option to keep your right hand on your low back. Turn your head all the way to the left. Chest is still turning right. Gently turn your head back any amount to the right, not into stress. Option to reach that arm up if you're reaching. And then slowly come in to thread the needle. So what looks like here is that we bring your forearm and your elbow and your shoulder onto the mat and turn your head to the left, stretching your left arm straight out in front of you. So this is a so-called thread the needle, which you can vary in any way that you need to. For some of us, the arm and head and arm don't come all the way to the floor. That's okay if they don't. Slow retrace your steps, opening up to the right side. Maybe your arm goes right onto your back again. Maybe it lifts and back into thread the needle again. Curling your belly button in, maybe landing on the mat, maybe not. Let your hips go back to take more weight into your legs if you need to take some pressure out of your arms. You can really shift your buttocks backwards if you need to alleviate any sense that there's too much pressure in your arms. One more time, twisting to the right. Again, option for your right hand to go onto your low back instead of reaching up. Big breath in and then meet back in hands and knees. There you go. Sorry, I know. One more. Okay, let's do one more. One more. So nice. Sets of three are so much better, right? The body is so used to them. So thread the needle one more time, right arm under. Sorry for that. Yeah, we'll do three on the other side. That's way better. That was really fun. It was like, nope, the water is going that way. We are doing another one. Now slowly come on up, place your both hands or forearms and do a couple of cat cows. I tend to walk my knees back to hip width for cat cow, though any width for your knees, as long as it's pretty symmetrical, will get us what we want, which is a kind of a reboot. Now, I like my knees wide because it gives my hips more freedom of movement. Your hips can move as much as you want in these twists. And for me, I feel more freedom when my knees are wide. Again, I'm putting my blanket under my feet because way better for my own ankles. If you're on your forearm, not a problem here. You might put your left hand on your low back. In either case, we're decreasing the curve in our lumbar spine here. This is not a curvy low back. This is a scoop the belly in, tuck your tailbone down situation. As you twist your upper body to the left, your left hand might be on your lumbar spine. Micro bend your right elbow if it isn't already bent. Open the chest any amount, but keep your lumbar spine flattening up and back. Option to dangle your left arm and maybe even swing it up and open to the left. Maybe you look down and notice your right shoulder has pulled up toward your ear in a shrug. Maybe you turn your chin any amount to the left, possibly even to peek at your left thumb, not overworking. One more time, chin to the right, any amount. One more time, chin to the left, any amount. Navel to spine, squeeze your buttock muscles, tuck your tailbone forward and downward. Then we can go into our gentle, whatever this is called. I completely blanked. Thread the needle, thank you. Oh, my brain has such big holes in it. Now, what's lovely about thread the needle is that you don't have to be all the way on the floor. You can be hanging, softening, letting the body droop, or you can put lots of weight on your shoulder and the side of your head. If you wish to reach your right arm straight down the long line of your mat, some people like the elongation they get through the right rib cage and armpit chest. Deep breath here in your thread the needle. Ah. Then we'll plant your right hand in front of your nose under your right shoulder and slowly reverse course. Once again, you scoop your belly in. You might slip your left hand right back onto your lumbar spine as you twist left. If you prefer, let that left arm sweep open, maybe even spread your five fingers. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Notice your neck. Turning your chin any amount from right to left, but within a range of motion that feels soft, easy, gently stretchy, but not coercive. One more deep breath in your lift, and then slowly thread the needle again. This is number two, isn't it? Okay, yay, we have another one to come. Sometimes the squish of the outer tricep into the blanket can feel really good, a stretch for the shoulder. Sometimes we have to be a little less, put a little less pressure. Wow, these are lovely. Take your time, big breath in, do you? And then we'll do one more. Curate your low back by tucking your tailbone. Pull the belly button in and up. Where does your left hand go? Low back or maybe high? Where does your gaze go? Maybe high, maybe all the way down and to the right. You can even circle your left wrist a few times if you wish. Big breath in. And last one, thread that needle. Ah. Oh. Option to wrap your right arm all the way around your back. Your right hand can be like an elephant's trunk, and your right fingertips can even hook your left thigh. I have short little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, so I rarely end up in that position, but there it is. Yeah, it's kind of fun. A little fetishy, but All right, take a breath or two. Your timing in your thread the needle, then we twist back up and then come back to hands and knees. Really nice, everybody. Very good. And you probably thought we were never getting off the floor because that often happens, but we'll go off the floor now, sort of. So we'll take a moment to do something very symmetrical, which looks like this. I'm going to fold up. I have this giant set of two blankets, and I'm folding it up so I have a nice squishy surface for my knees. Then I put one block between the thighs, and I have one block between my hands. And I'll turn this way just so you can see me. So I'm on hands and knees with a block between the upper thighs. You could drop that block down and put it between your knees. For some of us, it's actually kind of nicer to have that block lower down right between your knees and possibly even middle width apart. Yeah, sometimes this orientation in this position, and other times, yeah, maybe this is okay, or maybe you actually like this. Yeah, so be creative and give yourself space to change it up. And the idea is that we've got this second block between your palms. Your fingers are all together on one side of the block. And with your elbows bent, we press the block as if we could make it smaller, like a marshmallow getting squished. So we're in a hands and knees position here. And we can stay right here, super boring. The crown of your head lengthening forward, the shoulder blades moving away from your ears. The low back is slightly flattening towards the sky. Now, toes can tuck under. So, what I mean by that is that you can tuck your toes and press into the balls of the feet, like a tippy toe position. But for some feet, that doesn't feel good. So, you can put that other blanket there under your feet again if you need to. This is another variation that looks very sloppy. Don't tell Iyengar I did that. Okay. Toes can tuck under and you can lift your hips up. Now, lifting and lowering your hips may be on the tops, the shoelace sides of your feet, or the tippy toe, or not at all, right? You do not need to lift your knees. However, for some, in this position, as you lift your knees, squeeze your navel in and up, even just a millimeter can really fire up the muscles in your legs, your hips. And can you also lift your pelvic floor and lengthen through the crown of your head? Press your elbows evenly and squeeze your buttocks. Then you lower down. The nice thing about this is that you barely need to hold at all. And you can have the luxury of really going down. You lift up and then you can go. It's actually kind of fun to really crash your knees down. Not all the way, exactly. So we'll lift up maybe 2 inches at most. The lower the knees, the more the work. And the flatter the back, the more the work. So we're really trying to keep your low back flat. And we're not trying to lift the knees a lot. Yes, it's no fun, right? Because it's like way more fun if you could lift your knees a lot. Yeah. Yeah, the work is all in my face too. It's so true. And in my jaw and in my dental work. So we try to broaden out the collarbone, squeeze your block, use your chest muscles, press your elbows, but relax your face, soften your brow. And then when you've done 4 or 5 or 10 or 12, come on down, take a break. We'll move into downward facing dog. And you're thinking, really? Finally a real yoga pose? How long have we been in this class? We haven't done anything real. So, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, with or without a block. Now, for some of us, hands and feet on the floor version of downward dog just is not appropriate for lots of different reasons. And so please feel free to come to a wall, place your hands at about shoulders width, keep your block or no, and walk backwards into a almost as if you're doing a chair pose. You pull your hips back and down, plant your hands on the wall. That's it. Exactly. Now, micro bending your knees, whether you're in the wall downward dog or the floor downward dog. Can you also bend your elbows And now straighten and bend your elbows and do a little mini push-up. This is really a small push-up. It's not meant for you to bring your head way down to the floor. It's you move the crown of your head either towards the wall, towards your thumbs, or towards the floor, towards your thumbs, and make a small bend and straighten of your elbow to soften up your shoulder joints. Grip with your fingerprints through wall or mat or floor and see if you need your heels to be lifted and knees to be bent. If you're on the wall, of course, you want your heels grounded. Can you squeeze your block if you're using one? Can you pull your belly button in and up, whether you're using a block or no? Can you relax your jaw and maybe turn your head side to side? One or two more breaths, pulling your hips upwards and backwards and gripping with your fingerprints. A little more flattening of your low back. Yeah, Beth, that was a good adjustment. Yes, Sarah. Yeah, that's it, Corky. Nicely done. That's it. A little flattening of your low back, Shelley. Just a little bit more. There you go. Good work. Yes, Lisa. Nice work, Linda. There you go. Crown of head reaches towards wall or floor. Beautiful, Michael. And now down you come. That's it, Carolyn. Take a break. Child's pose, puppy pose. Now, if you like child's pose, knees wide, big toes to touch, I put a blanket under the tops of my feet and I can settle my upper body into a drape. If your hips can come right down to your feet, that can be lovely, but there's often the need to come onto your back and pull your knees wide into your armpits. So here's me doing a child's pose with the buttocks high, child's pose with the hips low, or flip onto the back. Ah, upside down child's pose. Take a moment in your child's pose. There you go. So my upside down variation. This allows me to relax the back without the compression in hips, knees, and ankles that I would otherwise experience in child's pose. Maybe you put a block under your head. Maybe you take any other variations. Yeah, beautiful. I love the wrap of the arms around the ankles. Yvonne and Michael, that's lovely. Carol, I love the stacked fists. Nice. Yeah, nice. There you go, Milton. Good. Deep breath into your belly, ribs, and collarbone. Exhale completely. If your head can fall, sometimes that'll release the neck muscles differently. Really let your head hang. One more deep breath, belly, ribs, collarbone. Slowly begin to pop away, make your way up to standing. We'll come up into a wide-legged forward fold, and for that we'll use two tall blocks. And it's a very slow, by design, a slow transition to give your head and heart time to equilibrate. Everyone on the Mass side can face in towards the computer this way, and we'll just remove all the blankets from your mat. Everyone on the partition side can face in this way, and the two blocks will go tall, one atop the other, in a rather unstable position by design, so that you have something to put your hands on, but it can be at a significant height. So we'll be facing the long edge of your mat. So you'll turn in towards the computer, at least. Yep, just same idea, but turn around. There you go. And your two blocks, yeah, you guys will face each other. All right. Now the two blocks go tall, one atop the other, and we find our way into a wide-legged forward fold position. But instead of doing a forward fold like this, right? We do already do enough of this already all day long. Instead, it's a spinal elongation. Push the buttocks back, wrap up your abdominal organs, and tilt with any degree of height that you need, and ideally not too much weight on your hands. Therefore, I need to sink into my heels a little bit more, and then I need to also do this tuck of the tailbone. Remember early on today, we talked about scooping the tailbone like that, and we talked about that little Persian slipper of your tailbone curling up to the ceiling. Now, the Persian slipper tailbone curls forward towards your blocks. The chest lifts and the chin tucks. The collarbone broadens and the shoulder blades slide down your back. Then we see if we can straighten and bend the knees a little bit and notice any discomfort that may be creeping into your outer ankles. If you have a lot of discomfort there, toe heel your feet in a little bit and see if that's more manageable. But we do want to go as wide as we can go while still maintaining all five toes of each foot moving straight forward. Now, if this is easy for you and you want to split your blocks and even walk them forward, we can take the buttocks behind you and lengthen through the crown of the head for a hybrid pose. We can also do this with our two blocks by slowly waddling them forward, R2D2 kind of, R2D2, R2D2, forward, forward, forward. Elbows can bend, buttocks back. Spine is still lengthening, but I have 99% of my weight in my legs, and my chest is still lengthening forward, more like a diving board than a slide. Yeah. If the slide orientation works for you, perhaps you're on tall blocks. But the softness in the elbows can prevent you from locking out the shoulder, and it can also prevent you from putting too much pressure on the shoulder joint itself or even the wrists. So take your time to creep your way either into a hybrid between Adho Mukha Svanasana, Adho downward Mukha face Shvan dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana down facing dog, or Prasarita Padottanasana, which would be the flat back, long spine. In both cases, what we're looking for is to lengthen the spine as much as the legs, but keep the buttocks behind your heels more than you normally would. Often we talk about let your heels come, buttocks go straight up to the ceiling in a vertical line. Instead, here right now, the hips are behind your feet a little bit, so that takes some of the pressure out of your upper body. As you work, and if you wish, you can bring the weight further into the balls of the feet, but still keep your hands light so that we're lengthening. Beautiful, Erica. Yeah. Navel to spine. Yes. Beautiful, Carmen. Yeah, exactly. So, Julia, nice even hips. Very good. Just a teeny bit to your right with both blocks. So you would move both blocks. Just that's it. That's all you needed. There you go. Lengthening through the crown of the head, spreading the toes, feeling the work in the legs as you straighten and bend them a little bit. Yes, that's it. That's it. Feel a little stretch in the back here. Good. There we go. I'll just move that for you. Have more space in case you want wider feet for the next set of poses. Carolyn, excellent. Yes, long spine. Yes, beautiful, Laura. Lift your sternum a little bit more. Yeah, that's the idea. Keep the sternum moving towards the bolster in front of you, but let your chin stay soft. And I like the soft elbow because I hope that's helping your shoulder joint not feel overtaxed. Okay, good, good, good. Breathing, lengthening. That's it, Shelley. Lengthening through the crown of the head and through the buttock bones. Beautiful, Yvonne. Nice work through those legs. That's it. Spread the toes, Michael. Nicely done. Yes, Lisa. Sternum forward. Yes. That's it, Linda. Chin tuck. Sternum is forward beautifully. Yes. That's it. Shoulder blades together and down your back, Louise. Tuck your chin for me just a tick. Beautiful. That's it. Very nice, Jessica. Lift the buttock bones a little higher if you can. Yeah. Sherry, gorgeous. Ah, Carol, nice. Sternum forward. A little bit lumbar flattening for me. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, that's it. Just a little posterior tilt of your pelvis. Just a teeny bit to curate your low back. There you go. Yes, beautiful, Laura. Good. Nice. A little sternum forward, Sarah. Tuck the chin a little more. Little sternum forward, Beth. Tuck the chin a little more. Beautiful. That's it. Terry, good. Corky, excellent. Yes, Terry. Here. Ah, and let's slowly come forward and all the way up. And then let's see, both hands on the mat versus on the blocks. Yeah. Which one feels better? Then you're good because actually your spine didn't change much, but you have a different level of support. And if it feels better, you're good. Yeah, yeah, because it really didn't make much of a difference in terms of alignment from the outside point of view. Good, toe heel, toe heel, toe heel. Come on in and let's roll those shoulders forward, up, and back. Ooh, that was a long time. We held that a long time. So you probably heard me say sternum forward, chin tuck, sternum forward, chin tuck, lumbar spine a little flat. Because for most of us, when we go into those poses, we tend to lift the tailbone more, contract a little more here, and our thoracic spine, the middle of your upper shoulder blade area, tends to be here, and the chin goes there. So I'll go lumbar spine a little flatter. You see that? A little flatter. And then sternum forward, chin tuck. So Yeah, so my hips are behind my heels by design to take some of the weight out of my arms. So I have more freedom of movement in my upper body. If I'm here, it's harder for me to really do it without too much pressure on my wrists. So we'll be now doing another pose where we want the same idea, sternum forward, only now it's going to be vertical. We'll want to bring the sternum, this breastbone here, we'll want to slide the sternum straight up to this place. So when your sternum comes forward, when I say forward in downward dog, it means down and that way. And now we'll be doing it in Warrior One. It's going to be sternum straight up like a rocket, straight up. Ideally, the rocket goes straight and doesn't go that way, or right? So we'll take our right leg forward, left leg back. We'll show you this real quick. We'll be reaching upwards with a palm spiral, and we'll want the sternum to lift, 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 but not the chin, right? Shoulder blades down the back, sternum lift, back of the neck is long. We'll bring our arms up. So Warrior One. So let's turn to face the clock wall or whichever way you prefer to face. We'll put our right leg forward, hands on your hips. And as if you were on railroad tracks, cable car would work. Right leg in front of right hip. Bring your left foot behind your left hip. Tuck your chin and look back at your left foot. And as you bend your right knee, let your knee go right over your ankle. We don't really want to stay a long time in a pose where your knee's way past your ankle. Just for stability purposes and for knee strengthening, it can be really nice to just have your right knee right over your ankle. It doesn't say that you shouldn't bring it ever forward, but in this pose, the orientation is knee over ankle. Then slowly see if we can lift and lower your left heel any amount. If your back foot is too far back, shift it forward. There's no need for you to have a super wide stance, especially we don't want to if it's going to bother your back ankle. Okay. So Virabhadrasana 1, this is actually not that easy to balance lifting and lowering that back heel. Once you find a position for your back ankle that feels stable and solid, comfortable, great. If you don't find one, you might need to put a folded blanket under your heel. Sometimes if we put a blanket under the back heel, oh, it's so much easier on my ankle. So take a moment to grab that folded blanket. And the good news is that if you're standing here bored to death, it's very strengthening for you. We hook the right thumb in the right hip crease, which means I take an L shape of my right hand, put it right at where the thigh meets the pelvis, and I pull that backwards and to the right. So that helps to swing my pelvis a little more parallel with the mat edge in front of me, though I'm not forcing it. So there's a feeling of pulling your right thigh back and down. Then slowly take your left arm forward as if you're going to shake someone's hand. And any amount as you spiral your pinky towards the midline, like your da-da, flamenco, that left arm can reach up. Chin tuck. Now, navel to spine, squeeze your buttocks, tuck your tailbone forward and lift your sternum straight up towards the sky. Grow your spine. Sink into your right heel, pull the sticky mat back with your left foot. And if you wish, you can switch arms, bringing left hand to your hip, right arm up, or you can take both arms up. Elbows can bend as much as you like to soften the shoulder joint. Some people actually like to shrug the shoulders in service of elongation of the side body or drop them and bend the elbows. So either the arms are straight and elbows, shoulders are shrugged, or the elbows are soft and the shoulders drop down. Stretching your back leg long. Now sweep your arms behind you, squeeze your shoulder blades together, tailbone forward, belly back, sternum up. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then lift your chest and let your gaze go down your nose. If you wish to lift your gaze a little bit, you can lift it any amount. Some people even like to look up at the ceiling. Big long body reach, pull your arms behind you. If you can turn your palms to face down, thumbs outward, great. But if you need, that's it, Yvonne, exactly. If you need a different orientation, you take a different orientation. One more breath and straighten the right leg. Oh, hands on the hips. Toe heel, toe heel, toe heel. There you go. And shake out. Felt like someone held us in that pose a long time. I often short shrift the second side. I'm going to try not to do that. But just as in anything we're doing, if we're holding a pose too long, come out. Take your time. Come out. Don't stay. If you're staying and you're getting a little sweaty and a little tired, that's fine. If you're staying and you're feeling sharp pain, okay? All right. So now it's left leg forward, right leg back. Face the direction you wish. If you're mad at me, you can face away. Left leg forward. Now, as you bring your right leg back, hips distance apart from your left, as if on two railroad tracks. Once again, I like to see if I can lift and lower my back heel comfortably. Perhaps I pop that blanket there under my back heel again, because sometimes that's super helpful. So give yourself that opportunity if you need it. Once you've grounded your right foot and your left, press your pubic bone forward, squeeze your left heel, push your left heel down into the mat. Take your left thumb to your left hip crease and pull the flesh of your left hip away from the midline and down towards the mat to the left. Then right arm forward as if to shake someone's hand. Now peek down and see that your left knee is going straight out over your left toes. Yes, very good. That's it. And then if you wish, tuck the chin, lift your arm and let your arm lift your rib cage out of your hips. You can even raise your eyebrows. Spiral your pinky towards the midline, da-da, flamenco. Drop your shoulder, right shoulder drop, sink into your left heel. Now, option to switch. That's just kind of fun. Or both arms up. Drop the shoulders. Push into your left heel. Pull your navel back. Lift your sternum straight up. Grow your spine. If your pelvis could come out of your hips, that's the thing. You go, fly up to the sky. Then rainbow your arms wide, fingers, open the chest, and squeeze your shoulder blades together. You might knock into your neighbor when that happens. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and lift your sternum, tuck your tailbone, and then maybe bring your gaze a little further forward, maybe even up. Back of the neck stays long. We don't drop the head to look up. We lift the sternum to look up and try to parallel your chest to the short edge of your mat in front of you. Nicely done. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Beautiful. Right arm back just a teeny bit more, Jessica, but not forcing it. Yeah, you okay there? Don't force that shoulder, huh? Nice, Sherry. Beautiful, Carol. Beautiful. These are gorgeous. Lift the sternum. Press through that left heel. Nice alternative, Milton. I love it. That's it, Beth. Beautiful. Nice, Laura Brewer. Good. That's it. Yes, Laura Cook. Very nice. Yeah, that's it. Turn the palms face down if you can, Linda. Nicely done. That's it, Lisa. And then slowly come on up. Wow, these are great. Up you come. So shake out. As I said, Lee Albert is a yoga for all sorts of pain, yoga for pain. And this is the pose everyone should do, according to Lee Albert, that kind of movement is what so many of us can benefit from, both in the front of the hips, the chest, the neck, the shoulders. Okay. Okay. Now, where I'd like to go is into a brief balance pose that looks like this. We'll take our 2 blocks tall to the front of your mat. Same idea. The blocks are tall and rather unstable by design, so that they're there for you for a balance point, but not for a structural element. We're not building Notre Dame. We are standing on our own foot and using it as a balance point. Did you know that they had to cast their own axe heads to chop the wood to make the new structures so that they could do it just like they did? And so cool. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so the idea is we're standing with our blocks, I'll do it facing this way, with our blocks ahead on your mat. Imagine my mat goes this way. Legs are comfortably together. I bend my knees, squeeze my glutes, draw the navel in. Then I fold forward with a flat back. Notice how my butt goes back. That keeps the pressure out of my arms. Gradually, I take my right leg and kick the toes back, trying to square the hips. Then we'll slowly kick through the heel. If we're too close to the wall, we come away. We'll slowly kick through the heel and try to keep the weight in the hands light. And then we slowly lower down, rebalance, and then we'll do the other side. So let's meet here. We'll take our right leg up first. Find your way to a N- Slightly bent knee, buttock squeeze, long spine, light weight on your blocks, and then right leg back. Now you can always bring your palms together in front of your heart and use your focus as your balance point instead of your fingertips. Second leg goes back. We might stay here. This is a really good pose for balancing and strengthening, not overworking. If you wish to lift your heel, yes, beautiful, Erica. Hips are square as can be. That's beautiful. Carmen, very good. That's it. Julia, kick through the back heel as much as you can and flex the back foot. That's it, Linda. I love the balance. Nice, Lisa. Very good. That's it, Shelley. Yep, you got it, Yvonne. That's it, Michael. How much weight? There you go, Joanne. That was very good. How much weight in the hands? Can we pull back and put the weight in the heel? Laura Brewer, that's exactly the idea. Yes, that's it. Wobbling is natural. Don't, it's wobbling happens. Try not to let your low back arch too much. Nice, Laura Cook. Yeah, kick through that back heel even more. What does a straight knee feel like? Yeah? Yes, Beth. Sternum forward, sternum forward. Yes. Right? It's not easy to bring the sternum forward. Wow, Milton. Awesome. Wow. Yes, Corky, that's the idea. Balanced. Any level of balance. Flex your back foot for me, Beth. Ah, pull the toes up. Yes. That's it. Yes, Sherry, good. Yep, hip down. Very nice. Once you've done first side enough, do the second side. If you've done both sides, we'll meet on our back. Yeah. Excellent. These are great. So, why do we do this? Balancing. A, we are all needing to focus on balance more. B, very good for building bone density, right? We're holding ourselves up under the force of gravity. The muscles, you can feel them, especially in your hip and lower leg, I suspect. Probably you can feel the muscles pulling on the bone. Very good for building bone density. That's it, Michael. Drop that left hip for me just a tick. There you go. That was the idea. So toe and knee face the floor. That's it, Carolyn. That was good, Joanne. Your alignment was good. All right. Very good. Ah, Laura Cook, nice straight knee, even straighter. Yeah, left knee. Left knee, exactly. Nice, Corky. Good option. There you go, Carol. All right. Now, for this next one, we need a loop. Sorry for bad news. We thought we were going to avoid loop making. If your loop ends up feeling like it's really not functioning, just raise your hand and I'll switch with you because we don't need to torture you with frustration around loop making. So, what we want is a really big giant loop. So, when you make your loop, we'll be lying down with our head on a blanket, the loop in your hands, and we'll be doing our warrior three that we were just doing, only lying on the floor. So, the idea is that you're in that same position, only now you get to put your head, if you wish, inside the loop that your foot is in. The length of your loop will dictate whether your head floats or not. If your head is grounded, you can simply let the loop hold your foot at an angle that feels appropriate for you. So you can tighten up your loop and still have your head on the floor. You can also bend your knee of your lifted leg and your down leg. For some, it's nice, and you already might know this, or you might discover that if you make your loop smaller, your head, especially if you move your blanket, can hover a little bit above the floor, and it can give you a stretch for your hamstring of the lifted leg without you having to hold the strap with your arms. So the weight of your head, again, the gallon of milk, weight of your head counterbalances the weight of your leg and the tensile strength of your hamstrings, and you can stretch. I would say as long as your neck feels comfortable, you're fine. And for some people, the head will be higher up than others. And so it can even look like it's pretty much tucking your chin to your chest. But even if it's as long as it's comfortable, it's fine. As long as your neck feels relaxed, then you're fine. And the angle I see you at looks fine. Yeah. There you go, Yvonne. Does that feel manageable? Yeah. That's it. That's it, Michael. And sometimes we have to move that strap so it's not right on your head, or we need more length. And oh, I'm sorry. What I mean is that the buckle isn't on the skin of your scalp, but the positioning looks great. Yeah. And it's okay for your lifted leg to be bent. And sometimes I even like to bend and straighten my knee or point and flex the foot. Ah, there you go, Joanne. That looks like that strap might, or that loop might be teeny bit small. Does that feel a little small for you? Let's see if we can give you this little bit longer one and try that out and see. That goes behind your head and that goes there. Much better, right? And then we can tighten it by pulling this down. And then the challenge becomes where is the fulcrum at which it'll stay and not slip, but still feel like it holds you comfortably. That looks good to me. How's that feel to you? Yeah, and the knee won't straighten. For most of us, that knee won't straighten, but over time we can play a little bit with an yeah, so we don't force it. If you're feeling a stretch, you're done. You're good. You're there. There's no requirement for a straight knee. Yeah. The requirement is comfort. So if it's stressful, we want to switch it up. But this looks really good. Yeah, all the way through the hamstring. That's perfect, Carolyn. And the shoulders relaxed is the idea too, that your shoulders can let go. Laura, that's beautiful. Yeah. Feel okay there? Nice. Yeah. Good. Taking your time, Julia. Any variations that feel better to you? That's really good. Yeah. Carmen, that looks lovely. Yeah. How's that feel, Erica? Okay. And if you want it to be tighter, I can help you tighten it. You might be. Yeah. You want to try? Just a tick? See what you think. Doesn't. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes the tensile balance needs to be shifted a little bit. It's a very Buckminster Fuller kind of situation. You okay there? Ah, yes, we will switch legs whenever you're ready. Yes, so whenever you wish to switch. Thank you, Sherry. Shelley, I often forget to say that remember we have two legs and we stay there forever. So thank you, Shelley. Yes. So second leg, noticing if it works for you. If it feels like not today, this is a good time to say no, thank you, and switch it up, right? You can rest your head down, use the strap with your hands instead. You can even put both feet in the strap loop if you like. For some people, that's weirdly pleasant. Corky, that looks excellent. It's not a judgment, it's just, yeah, that's beautiful. That's it. Shoulders completely relaxed. Yeah. Yeah. Milton, lovely. Good alignment. Yeah. Corky, excellent alignment as well. All of you over here. Wow. You're like, you know, Cartesian crystals. That's kind of redundant, isn't it? Yeah. It's differentiating your hamstring muscles can be done when you bend. If you put your hands behind your knee as you bend it and then straighten it, you dig your fingers in behind the back of the knee. You'll feel the outer one easier, one towards the baby toe. You'll feel that tendon bump up into your hand. That's your outer hamstring on the right. And then the inner hamstrings, you have to dig in a little bit more. But the easiest place to find your hamstrings is just above the back of your knee, and then you can follow them up into the fleshy part where they all seem to collude and kind of join like rivers. So it's harder to differentiate them. Yeah. So once you've done both sides, really do not rush. Please take your time. I'm going to suggest a certain shavasana, and please ignore me if it's just something you think, take one look at and go, no, thank you. Please, no, I will not take it personally. But what I often like to do is take my two blocks, place them underneath the outer edges of my knees, underneath at an angle, so that my legs are bent and resting over the blocks with my kneecaps pointing straight up. So I'll show you what I mean. So I have my two blocks at a slight angle. The corners of the blocks come in, and that same outer hamstring kind of catches on the blocks, and I rest this way. With my knees, the thing that's the advantage of this, the reason I do it, is that I can orient my legs without the external rotation that they normally go to. And that creates a different kind of relaxation that I can find helpful. So from the side, it looks like this. The corner of your block goes underneath the outer edge of your lower thigh and knee. It's very a little bit on the esoteric side. Exactly. It's a different way of relaxing the pelvis. The orientation of your thigh bone is different because you're essentially hanging your outer hamstring on the hook of the block, and now the thigh bone is more neutral instead of being externally rotated. So that changes the pull on the muscles in the pelvis. May I gently adjust you here and see? So what it looks like is that this comes here. It's definitely a little strange. And so that your leg ends up there. Is it restable there? Can it? Yeah. Yeah. And then the same thing here. It's definitely a little on the esoteric side. Yeah. So we kind of catch that outer hamstring, and that allows you to rest without the external rotation. There you go. And if you hate it, take it away. Good. Excellent. Relax, be like a sack of potatoes. Taking your time. Exactly. It's a little bit, it's that you're not engaging. Exactly. It's a little tricky. Let's see if does that feel like it can kind of hang there? Yeah. Yeah. So we're kind of catching this right here with the hook of the block. That's it. And then sometimes it feels like they're falling inward, which can be not helpful. So we go ahead and put this here, and then that's it. That work? Yeah. Right. So you got so it's nice. Yeah. Taking your time to let your body melt into the floor. Excellent. Yes. Soften your brain. Soften your eyes. Relax your tongue in your throat, your teeth in your jaw. Finding your breath once more as you find a seat if you wish, or stay on your back if you prefer. I often like to do some gentle shoulder rolls once I come back up to a standing or sitting position and help sort of rebalance the neck and shoulders. Any kind of movements to the chest and shoulder blades, ribs and arms. It helps you feel sort of realigned. I'll even circle the wrists and then settle once more. Optionally, you might choose to bring your fingerprints together, palms slightly apart, and find that Namaskarasana mudra, the symbolic hand position, that one of the meanings of which is gratitude. Letting the eyes be soft in the sockets, the crown of the head floating up like smoke. Let your chin be slightly soft, and once again, let your sternum gently rise vertically. Take a moment just to notice sensation, sound, sight, touch of the body against the surface below, the air on your skin. Breath in and out. Deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. One more time, a deep inhalation. And let something go. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you. So great to see you. Hope you've all had a good year so far, such as it has been. I will be doing a workshop on February 1st called Lengthen, Strengthen, and Realign Your Spine. And it does speak to what we were doing today, which is that idea of sternum forward, chin tuck, shoulder blades down the back, all of that. So for each body, there's one curve that tends to flatten and one curve that tends to over curve, or more than one. And so we will be looking specifically at the curves in your spine, the natural curves that are there, and the ways to work with them, and ways to break down how do we work with the curves in the upper spine, middle and lower spine, and how that affects your yoga generally. It's a Saturday, February 1st from 2 to 5 p.m. So and don't worry, we won't be doing yoga for 3 hours. And yeah. Okay. You're welcome, Jessica. Great. Thank you. Isn't that a fun one? Yes. Yep. Yeah. The hips are working differently. Yeah. Great.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Alan.
Anne.
Hi, Debbie. Good to see you.
See
Great.
you.
Ian, I have to tell you three things. First,
Yes.
I met Buckminster Fuller once.
You did?
I did. He had a lecture here at Harvard Medical School, and I met him. So that was very exciting.
Oh, how
That's number
fabulous.
one. Number two, I love the strap. I do the strap thing with around your heel. I do that. You taught it, and I do it all the time, and I find it very relaxing.
Oh,
That's
wonderful.
And number three, I hate to do this again, but could I have this one too? Can I?
Oh, yeah.
These two this week have been absolutely outstanding for whatever ails me. So,
It's
um,
fantastic. No, I'm anytime, Debbie. It's never
thank
a
you.
problem. I'm
I'll
always
email
happy to
you.
send it. Okay, that
Thank
would
you
be
very
great.
much.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
weekend.
You too. Thank you, Debbie. Bye bye. Oh, Susanna, you're muted.
I'll see what Susanna has to say.
Have to apologize that when I moved the computer from up on the table down to do things on the floor, I accidentally turned on the picture of me and I was blowing my nose. So you have a close up of me. It's disgusting. I'm so
Oh, please
sorry.
don't worry.
I
It's
didn't
not going to
know
Nobody
be
that
on
I
the,
saw it.
turned it on.
nobody saw it. Yeah, I didn't see it. And it's
Me
not on the
neither.
video because the video is only my screen.
Oh,
So don't
good.
worry.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, I know. These things happen with Zoom. Please do not worry, Susanna. It was invisible to all
Oh,
except
good.
for you.
Oh, have a wonderful
Whew.
weekend.
You too. Thank you both. So nice
Bye
to
bye.
have you. Bye, Susanna. Mwah. And yeah, check your email and see about lunch next
No,
week,
no,
maybe.
did not see anything, but I will check again. I will
Okay, and I'll
check.
resend it. I'll resend it.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.